Hello, guys. We nearly didn't make it. I'm busy gas bagging and didn't realize what the time was. Thank you very much for joining us on this Friday evening, Friday morning, Thursday midnight, whatever the time might be for you.
10:30.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming in. As you come in, please say hello and let us know where you're coming in from and smash the like button. Coach Stephen, how are you this week?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm just so relieved I didn't appear in the Epstein files, but
So am I. It's been a busy week as that goes.
it has, hasn't it? Yes, I think that was quite interesting. You were talking about the two-tier policing here. That's still annoying and still happening. We've got cancellations of elections, which is absolutely frightening. So some people might not be able to vote in a local election for up to 7 years. So awful, really.
That's terrible.
It is terrible here politically, but can't afford to move and wouldn't want to. But, because some people's glib answer is, well, if you don't like it, don't live there. It's like, well, it's not that simple.
It's not quite as easy as just going, oh, yeah, I'm going to go somewhere else, right?
Yeah. So, yes.
G'day, Aid. Oh, we've got a lot of people coming in. Carnivore Cyclist, how you going? And
is he a spokesperson? Sorry.
Yeah, he's a spokesperson.
Sorry.
And Chris is coming in from the UK, wet and miserable today. Speaking of weather, have you seen the snowstorms in Japan?
I've not seen them in Japan. I've seen the ice storms in America, but what's happened in Japan then?
Like in northern Japan, it's crazy. Like the snowstorms are crazy. 3 Australians apparently have died in the last few days. Like, it's been pretty crazy, especially since it just feels like normal here. Like it's not that far away, and the weather's completely different. Well, we've got some snow in Finland as well. How are you doing, Elvira? How are you going, Josephine? And who else we got here? Gazoza Zo. State occupied France. How you doing? And Paul, how you doing, Paul? And yep, he likes the pun.
Oh, that's good.
He's definitely the spokesperson.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was quite shocked to see Peter Attia's name like everywhere this week.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But I never really liked him anyway because of what he was saying. Very wrong about many things. And I think anybody in the health space that is pushing for medications like taking metformin for health reasons or a statin for health reasons when you're young and fit and healthy is just not showing any joined up thinking.
So my feelings on it, and just to so we don't get cancelled by YouTube, I'll refer to the person in question as JE. But my thoughts on it, I've never been a fan of Peter Attia either. And when I heard about it, I thought, if we were to look at this situation as him as a longevity doctor with the same amount of nuance that he looks at statin studies, then you would have to confer that he's a shit longevity doctor because JE is dead. If we look at it with the same level of nuance that he looks at things,
Yes.
So
have you been working on that overnight, that joke?
No, it occurred to me. I was going to post it on Twitter, and I thought, no, I don't want to get into, writing stuff publicly about it. But yeah. So
don't like you to swear online. Wow.
Did that shock you?
It did, actually. Yeah.
So I've got to tell you, I'm Australian, or born in Scotland, raised in Australia. But when an Australian swears, it just means there's a noun on the way.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I was going to do a racist joke there. If you're Australian and Scottish, you like a drink, but you don't want to pay for it.
That's right. Do you know Billy Connolly's joke, right? The Scottish guy bent down to pick up a penny he dropped on the floor and it hit him in the back of the head.
Brilliant. That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Fatty Food, how are you going? Coming in from Montreal, minus 14 degrees.
Oh, wow.
It's 5 degrees here, and I'm feeling like I'm dying. And we've got April coming in. How you going from Delaware? And John Collins coming in from
Bonjour.
France. Bonjour.
Yeah.
My pronunciation is probably pretty bad, but yeah.
What part of Scotland were you born in then?
I was born in Irvine, 40 miles west of Glasgow. So
right.
on the coast there. It's where, who's the previous First Minister of Scotland? Nicola Sturgeon. That's where she's from.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't. That's not much of a claim to fame,
No, it isn't. Yes, left me a little bit nonplussed there. Someone's mentioning Sir. We should say Sir Billy Connolly. All right. Yes, he's all windswept and interesting.
Yes, Sir Billy Connolly. Yeah, I've been to 2 Billy Connolly shows in my life, both times in Melbourne. Yeah.
Do you enjoy them?
Oh, they were awesome. First one was better, I think. I was the first one, I was younger. It was earlier on in his career. So, yeah, he's probably got better jokes at that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely went. He wasn't as good in his later years. He was definitely better when he was younger, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, for the concert I saw, one of the funniest parts of the concert was he was talking about he went to Tasmania and he asked where the airport was, and the person looked up at the sky and just said plane. Yeah. We got Hamburg in the house. How you doing, Dr. Menzel? And we got AIDS. His best joke was the one about the train crash. Oh, I don't think I know that one. I'll have to look that one up. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. Oh, but his best one was like really, really early on. It's from the early 80s when he did the New Year's show in front of all the celebrities with his name in pink behind him. That's his funniest show. Definitely his funniest
show. An audience
show.
with Billy Connolly.
That's it. Yeah. An audience with Billy Connolly. Yeah. Best joke was about the train crash. Hey, Cordelia, how you doing? And Nuria. I always pronounce that wrong.
Hello.
How you doing? Good to see you. So guys, if you've got any questions, please put a Q in front of it and we'll get to those. Oh yeah, that's right. He was in that movie, right? The Man Who Sued God.
I've not seen it.
He actually did quite a few movies. Yeah.
Mrs. Brown was very good, I think, where he played Queen Victoria's butler or something like that.
Oh, okay. He was in The Last Samurai too, right? With Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I think we should have spoken a bit more about Peter Attia, actually, because we won't get a chance to ever mention him again.
Yeah, go ahead. So, yeah, well, I never liked any of Peter Attia's jokes. So, I noticed just scrolling through X, like one of his friends has been very quiet on the JE front, and that's Lane Norton. He hasn't posted anything about that.
Yeah, well, I went on the DOJ website and actually searched his name just in case it'd been missed, but he wasn't mentioned apparently.
Yeah. It's it feels like, obviously I've never met him, probably would never have met Peter Attia, but it just, because it's in the same kind of space, it feels a little bit close to home, Yeah. But
We've got a question, I think. Do you want to do the
Yeah,
question?
sure. Okay, from Nev. 1 year strict carnivore, but liver enzyme ALT increasing and now above range at 65. Any thoughts?
You see now, is he 65 or is the ALT range 65? Just to clarify the question. But anyway, either way, if you're 65 and your ALT is going up a little bit, that's okay. On carnivore, it's also something we see a little bit. You would be better to do a full liver panel because ALT, AST, ALP, and GGT would be better things to know about, because all liver problems are diagnosed as a pattern rather than one just, one outlying number. So yes, ALT equals 65, right? Okay, so yeah, so that's just above the range, and yeah, I would not worry about that. I mean, many reasons for ALT going up are intense exercise. That can be the thing, that the main thing. High intensity interval training tends to really push it up, and it can stick around for a little while, even if you've trained and then thought, well, I'll go and have my bloods in 3 days' time. So someone like Dr. Kevin Stock is famously trains quite intensively, and his ALT is always elevated. But it would need the context of that with AST, ALP, GGT, and bilirubin to work out if there's a problem. But 65, to be honest, this is not doctor's advice, just knowing about bloods. It's mildly elevated, not alarming at all. But if we had the other ones, that would be really helpful as well.
AIDS just saying ranges are not indicative of optimal.
No, that's right. I mean, I don't like to keep saying that because I don't like to bring new things to the party, but that's really true. Normative ranges are just that, just the average of people that, have given blood, and 88% of people who have some sort of metabolic problem. So it's not really optimal in any way. And then when you're eating this way, whether you're training, you've got more muscle, whether you're dehydrated or hydrated, makes big differences, which is why it's better to have more than one number, because then you can see the context of what's actually going on. So ALT, AST tend to, tend to be good markers of if there's any damage or leakage. And then you've got GGT, which is an inflammatory marker, and you've got ALP, which can also be an inflammatory marker, but more to do with how things are transiting through the liver. And that's why you do bilirubin, because as the name implies, the biliary tree, the bile going through, they're better markers. But also how you look and feel. Have you got any pains? These sort of things. It's all very helpful to have the more context, definitely.
Yeah. The carnivore cyclist, elevated EGFR. I'm 68.
EGFR. Now that's a different thing. Estimated glomerular filtration rate. Most people want the filtration rate to be above 60. So that's not worrisome whatsoever. But if you are, cycling, you, for instance, might have an ALT that's looking at your picture, you take it quite seriously. Even that would actually elevate ALT a little bit, because all that is enzymes showing that they're repairing something. So if we make it really basic, if you had leg enzymes, let's say you had an enzyme called leg, and you went out and you push yourself really hard on the bike, your leg enzymes would be elevated because they're repairing your legs. That's it. So when you've got liver enzymes, those first two, ALT and AST, are associated with breakdown. Yes, absolutely. But the breakdown and repair is what's going on if it's somebody, who's doing something that's going to be good for their health. But anyway, the filtration rate is estimated there. It's based on creatinine, which is a waste product of muscle metabolism. So normally when someone is muscular or using, a lot of energy in their workouts, you will see the creatinine go up, and it's a mathematical formula. The E is a bit of a giveaway, really, that it's not a direct reading, and that tends to make the reading look bad. But 68 doesn't look bad anyway, so that's pretty good. But if you ever do get a lower reading than 60 and you're worried, then get the cystatin C test, which is not reliant on dietary protein or protein metabolism, and get a true reading for your filtration rate.
Right. Thank you very much for your question, Carnivore Cyclist. FX Trader. How many hours of walking per day would you recommend when losing weight on Carnivore?
Well, I wouldn't recommend walking to lose weight. I would recommend, if you're on Carnivore, you're doing all the right things, because, you know, you're not taking in the carbohydrates. And if you're eating to satiety and hunger, then you won't be overeating, which is possible on Carnivore. You can overeat protein, you can overeat fat. But it's very difficult to do. Very, very difficult to do. Walking is just great for your biomechanics. I wouldn't do it for losing weight. I would do it just for health reasons. A 30-minute walk is going to be fantastic. If you can do a bit more than that, then that's really good. If you want to get some sort of exercise benefit out of it, then you probably need to walk a bit faster or walk uphill or something. But I always call this incidental exercise. It's not pushing your physiological edge. It's not making you out of breath. It's not raising your heart rate up in a significant manner. So you're not going to get a training response from it. But it's a fabulous thing to do. And if you've got a bad back, it's about the best thing you can do. You will see your back pain lessen if you can get out there. So motion is lotion. And walking is just so good, because you're outdoors, you're getting daylight, or natural light, I should say. That's probably better. And I think, 15, 20 minutes probably be a minimum. If you could do longer than that, that's great. I mean, I like walking because I think it's good. It's like a download, isn't it? It's refreshing for your brain. You're not in front of a screen. You can listen to a podcast. It's just brilliant, isn't it? Walking is just a fabulous thing to do.
I think walking is actually, when I think about what it's best for me, it's like mental health, because it just allows me to get all the crap out of my head and just walk. And like you say, listen to a podcast, or just kind of focus on not having kind of all the, oh, you need to do this next, you need to do this next kind of stuff going around in my head. It's
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to be out walking and doing this, but it doesn't really work because the signal's so bad.
Right. Yeah. I went out for a break and had about a 3.5-hour walk on Sunday afternoon. It was awesome, but my legs were a bit sore on Monday morning. Yeah. I've heard that walking activates your soleus muscle, and it consumes more energy, so it helps with weight. That is what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's very beneficial across many different things. I mean, that's walking does tick every box possible, I think. Nuria is very into this and always comes up with excellent nuance to the points. And yeah, walking stimulates so many things, and someone else put mitochondrial health. All of those things can be attributed to walking. Yes. I mean, the soleus it's a small muscle, but yes, it definitely helps, because the biomechanics of the body with walking pretty much involves everything. When you think about it, respiration, temperature control, but also the movements. And it is an amazingly underestimated way of exercising. But don't forget that weight loss is primarily driven by what you eat, not so much, But anyway, that's a good point, and definitely does do that.
Yeah. So Annie says it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit here in Florida this morning, too cold to walk. Do you know what 30 Fahrenheit is in Celsius? What's that, about 0? No.
Yeah, pretty cold. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
It's like that. Out of all the conversions, Fahrenheit to Celsius is the most complicated. You've let's got to multiply it by this and add this and pull a chair away and all this kind of thing.
30 degrees Fahrenheit in centigrade. It is, oh boy. Do you remember when it used to just do stuff? Minus 1.1
Yeah,
Celsius.
much too cold. I wouldn't be walking in that temperature either. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. So Annie says freezing is
Did you have
32.
you had a blood pressure question, which I think is quite urgent, from Catherine?
Oh, where was it?
10:45.
Okay, just 1 second. Oh, okay.
Want to read?
Catherine, I have very high blood pressure, 244 over 100 last reading, and BP cuff cannot give a proper reading. No diastolic. Systolic reading 293. Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty dangerous. If that's true, then I would go and have an immediate checkup. Because that's very high. Very, very high. So yeah, if the 293 is accurate, then yeah, you need to speak to a doctor pretty quickly. Sorry to be alarmist. If that's the real numbers, this is the problem with cuffs and equipment errors, because if the monitor is playing up, then that's something you need to have another thing. So I can give you an example of why I say that, because Jane, if she uses a cuff because she's very lean, will have a misleading reading where it's something like 180 over 140. If she uses a wearable, then she's just got normal blood pressure. It's about 130 over 90. So you can get a lot of variation in monitors and reading. But yeah, if that's true, I would go and speak to somebody. I would go and get it checked out quickly.
When it's that high, would you be getting a sensation that it's, like if your heart rate goes up, you can kind of hear it in your ear or something like that?
Yeah, you would tend to be sort of, you would either feel dizzy, or you might have some pains, or you might feel, discombobulated.
Right.
But, a big headache is a really common one. Vision would change. So yeah, nosebleed, obviously, if your pressure's high, you tend to get a nosebleed. Shortness of breath, all those things. If none of those things are happening and you feel fine, I still would get that checked out. But yeah, that is excessively high.
So yeah,
Sorry,
thank you for your question, Catherine, and yeah, please get that checked out. Okay. From John, I heard in one of Dave's interviews that when you're fat adapted, you no longer suffer from sugar cravings. Is this true? I ask because I did a 5-day fast, no hunger, but I succumbed to cravings.
Was that Dave? Was that you saying that then, Dave? Was that your opinion, or I guess?
It was probably the guest that brought it up, but I mean, I would tend to agree to an extent. But I think this is from all of the interviews that I've done. I would tend to feel, I would tend to treat this as more of a person by person thing. Not everyone seems to get over the cravings as easily as others. Like some people are like, they start eating a high fat diet, and within a month, they're not thinking about other food at all. But then someone can be a year in and they're still kind of struggling to, like, if they go to a social event and they see, I don't know, some kind of cupcakes or something on the table, So I think it's from the people I've spoken to, I think it's really person by person. But have you got thoughts, Coach Steve?
Yeah, well, I agree, which is why I was trying to qualify that, because I wouldn't make a flat sort of one size fits all type remark about anything with human physiology and psychology, because while that might have some element of truth, if you're fat adapted, you might not suffer from sugar cravings. You might not if you're constantly, eating to hunger and being, stopping at satiety. I think that's not really true if you are fat adapted and you still put the small amount of sugar, sweet taste on your tongue, or if you've got something like with a sweetener in that you're expecting to be sweet, you're still potentially keeping one foot in that camp, and any little sort of deviation, something stressful might happen to you in your life, or you might feel depressed or lonely. Many people eat out of boredom or something that they have no control over, and the dopamine is a very strong motivator. That's the whole thing. That's basically what it does. It motivates you to go and do something. And if you've got a learned behavior where stress equals me going to get a chocolate bar, for instance, then that's not going to be fixed by you being full, because if you're full and fat adapted, well, so what? That's not satisfying that dopamine here, that food addiction thing. Food addiction is really real. It's a real thing. And although it's not recognized medically by a lot of people, the mainstream medicine, it is definitely a thing. And I wouldn't say anyone getting fat adapted would be completely immune to sugar cravings. And I think it's, you're mitigating it. It's more difficult to get them if you're full up, if you're eating the right way, if you've removed the sweet taste from your life for a long period of time. Definitely. I mean, I used to love sugar, 2 sugars in my coffee, and I liked Krispy Kreme donuts and all that. And I don't think of any of that sort of anymore. But if I have a very bad day, maybe 3 or 4 days in a row, I think, I would think, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind a little bit of chocolate now or something. So it still enters my head. So I don't think that's particularly right from my own personal experience, but also people I coach who are really on it. I have people who send me mood and food diaries, and, you can think, oh, they've cracked it. And then something happens, they have a big argument with their son or something, and they go off the rails a little bit. So I definitely think it mitigates it to a large degree, but I don't think it eradicates it.
I think one of the things that happens is I'm not even sure if it takes away the cravings. What it seems to do is it gives you kind of calmness so that those emotional triggers are almost dampened down or something like that. But that, as you said, that's going to take different times for different people and that kind of thing. And the problem with this stuff is, and I'm kind of reiterating what you said, but it's not always just I need to eat sugar or I need to have something crunchy or something like that. It's the time of the day you're doing this thing, and you need something to go along with doing it. You need to be eating something to go along with doing it, or in my case before, you need to be drinking something to go along with doing that thing, or it feels like the activity is hollow, whether it's just mucking around on the computer or watching TV or whatever it is. So there's that habit component as well, and sometimes the habit component is hard to break.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Yeah.
So sorry, I've just let a lot of comments go by without checking them. Just 1 second. Sorry.
It's all right.
We're talking. A lot of people talking about the weather.
Fatal.
Okay, so Gazazo, the addiction never disappears. Addict once, addict for life. Well, I mean, when you say it like that, actually, that's true, right? Because when you've been addicted to alcohol, you can never be I'll just have one alcohol, right? Because you're always an addict, right? It's always the addiction is always going to come flooding back. And sugar's, personally, I think sugar's worse than alcohol. So, for addictive properties. So, yeah. Okay, we've got a question here from Vile Individual. I'm sure you're not vile. Glad to finally catch one of these lives. I often hear that fat should be prioritized, but what sources would you recommend? Is MCT oil good for boosting intake?
Right. Well, I mean, I think the fat from proteins, muscle meat, is about the best fat you can have. when they say it's prioritized, well, not everybody says that, by the way. A lot of people say protein should be prioritized. So I'm not a fan of that either. I think you should eat what you feel appropriately satiated by, and what you actually want, what your hunger drives. So a sirloin comes with fat attached. So does a ribeye. So does an egg. So I would tend to do that. I wouldn't try to boost my fat. I would go for 1-to-1 by weight, which is what happens with ribeyes and sirloins and steaks and eggs and all the things really that we eat, whole foods. If you like a little bit of butter occasionally on a steak, that would do it. MCT oil is, medium chain triglyceride. Is okay? But, it is a little bit processed. It's not a whole food, obviously. Rapidly converts to ketones, which would be one of the benefits. Can give you diarrhea. See, so all of these things have good and bad, whereas if you've got fat on the meat, that tends not to do those things. Tends not to give you a stomach upset or give you diarrhea. So yeah, it's I wouldn't buy, personally, I don't buy into this fat, sort of adding fats. I don't mind people doing it. I've done it. Add a little bit of butter here, a little bit of tallow, whip up a bit of tallow, but fatty cuts of meat are the way to go, really. Beef tallow, dripping, cooking in it, those sort of things. Like I say, eggs are wonderful. Egg yolks, if you can't eat the white, still egg yolks are very good. Bacon fat, wow, it's so good, isn't it? And people will see from my feed that I occasionally do bone marrow, because I think that's nutritious, but it's so filling. And that's the thing. I mean, a little bit of bone marrow, if you want to know about satiety, well, if you can eat a lot of that, I'll be really surprised, because once you start eating it, it's like, oh, wow, I'm really full. Duck eggs are another one for me. If I have a couple of duck eggs as a scrambled egg in the morning with some bacon, the other day I couldn't even finish it. So, yeah, but MCT oil is an option if you want something, but I'd definitely go to animal fats first.
Got to try a duck egg one of these days. So we've got a super chat
Isn't there
here.
a question about? Oh, okay. I was going to say there's about reverse T3 above that. I think we've missed one.
No, I didn't. I've gone to the super chat first.
Oh yes, of course, yes, because it's a super chat.
So SV3N198 said, have you heard of getting better with myalgic encephalomyelitis with the carnivore diet?
Well, I haven't had anyone with that, to be honest. So personally, if you're asking me personally, I've not coached anybody. But I think if you, the thing is, so this is chronic fatigue syndrome. Many people just come with fatigue. So yes, if you looked at it broadly like that, no one's come with that particular diagnosis, but that's what it is. It's chronic fatigue syndrome. So if someone comes to me and says I've got chronic fatigue syndrome, then yes, definitely helped, or fibromyalgia, or any sort of feeling of fatigue really has been helped. But yes, no one's actually come to me and said I have been diagnosed and I want you to help me with this. But yes, definitely.
So I just did a search before of my interviews, and I've got 3 people who have spoken about this, 3 guests who have spoken about this in interviews. So if you want to shoot me an email afterwards to realzerocarb@gmail.com, I can send those out to you, yeah? Okay, Cordelia. I have an endocrinologist who believes reverse T3 is a waste product and doesn't test it. If I feel better, I assume the number went down. It was around 25, and I'm using Armour Thyroid now.
Yes, I mean, this is going back to how you look and feel. I always think it's handy to test, because if you've had a test before, you can see whether it's gone down and whether that was, potentially the culprit. So reverse T3 isn't a waste product at all. It's more sort of like a break. Often people misinterpret it as the thing about T4 converted to T3. Well, yes, there is conversion from T4 to reverse T3, but I don't think it's as simple as saying, well, it's not working properly. But anyway, if you're improving, I don't really care about numbers as much as how you feel. So if you're using Armour Thyroid now and that's working, yes. You feel better. Can you assume the number went down? Yes, you could. But so many other things could be happening. The number could be the same, but your T3 could be going up. Simple as that. You could be finding that because T4 and T3 do have to enter via what's called a monocarboxylate transporter, they could be being upregulated. Now you're eating better. It could just be the fact that there is more raw material, so the thyroid overall is functioning better. But the bottom line is all that is a bit moot, really. If you feel better and it's doing what you want, then that's great. The bottom line is, yeah, excellent.
Nice. Yeah, just on those lines, I always laugh when you hear doctors telling patients that they're not doing well because of a particular number somewhere, and it's like, well, everything else is good and I feel great, but I'm not passing your test because of that one number.
Yes.
It's like LDL or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's why I have a problem with those sort of questions. It's a great question, but the answer is you feel better. She says, if I feel better, can I assume the number went down? Well, you can, but I'd like to just think a little bit beyond those sort of obvious things, which is maybe the number's the same. You feel better because a different number is more appropriate.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you just kind of your system's getting better overall rather than that one thing, right?
Yeah, there is a purpose for reverse T3 as well. So it puts a little bit of a brake on the metabolism. All thyroid hormone does is what's called futile processes, where it sort of makes things, but it also breaks things. It builds things up and it breaks things down. And your metabolic rate, if you can imagine, this is like anabolic, this is catabolic. Well, they tend to go up together. And that's why it's called a futile process. But if it does that, it means that you're making more ATP. There's more production, so it puts your metabolic rate up. And if they both go down together, then that's why you start feeling cold, and that's why you have problem losing weight. So you want to ramp up one thing, which is the production of thyroid hormone, because the bottom line is it will end up making proteins for the membrane. So sodium potassium pumps or something will be made, which on the other side will require a lot of ATP to make them work. So that's the body's beautiful way of, if you look at an old-fashioned car which would idle, you could rev it up but not move anymore. So you could turn the engine over more, warm up areas of the car. You could warm up the interior, get it firing a bit better by putting your foot on the accelerator. So if you think of how does the thyroid, why is it the master of the metabolic rate? Well, exactly those reasons. So T3 enters. Many people think it's like a steroid hormone, and it just enters, it diffuses through the membrane, which is absolutely categorically not what happens. It definitely needs a transporter, which is a big thing many people miss, and even people I really respect talk about it in the wrong way. But then it goes to the nucleus of the cell, and it instructs the body to make proteins, which is the bit why it's like a steroid hormone. And that's it. It's just making stuff and also then using that stuff and breaking it down. And so all those numbers are irrelevant if you go, wow, I'm taking Armour and I feel amazing, and I've got more energy, and I'm sleeping better, and cognitive ability is better, and I'm not gaining weight in an unexplained fashion. So, it's a big deal, and people don't talk about it in the right way. And this is where iodine is important, where you should test for iodine. You can do an iodine clearance test, and then also how you dose with things like Armour. If you use the drops, they're a little bit hit and miss, because if I suck a drop up and then pipette it in, that could be different to somebody else's. So I always say, like, potassium iodide is a good thing to take, because it's a nuanced, measured dose that we know we can control. And when people use Armour, that's great. So sorry about that. Yes, Nuria saying I've got a lot of articles about thyroid on my Substack. Yeah, I do. And the thing that annoys me is so many people talk about the sort of headline things. I'll just take some iodine. Well, It is true you excrete it out, but why? Why are you doing that? Why are you making life hard for yourself? Why not just actually have a test to see if you're actually deficient and what level of deficiency you're at? And there's other things like T2. People don't talk about T2. You can get a T2 supplement in some countries, which will, you can't test this in the labs and in the bloods, but you can in the research setting, which is, I was lucky to be part of for a decade. And we know that T2 makes the electron transport chain be a little bit more efficient. Well, nobody talks about T2, but we make it. So, and you can supplement with it. So I think thyroid is very misunderstood, to be honest.
Why is it that people don't talk about it though? Is it because there's no money to be made in that area or something? Like,
well, because you can't test, so therefore you can't get people to buy it. If I can test use iodine as a perfect example, Dave. If I tested your iodine clearance rating, I could say to you, categorically, you need some iodine. Here are some drops. All right, simple. Now, I could say to you that if you're low energy, we could sort of try T2. It's a bit wishy-washy, isn't it? Whereas a test, I could say to you, this is what you need. And then if you buy that supplement, then I can sell you something else. If that doesn't work, because we can categorically say in the next reading, we've stopped your iodine clearance test being bad, but there's still a problem. So we can try something else. And this is the big problem with blood testing. And sorry to get really political, but there was a court case recently, quite a big lab had adjusted their ranges to capture more people for recommendations.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Wow. So we've got a question here about insulin resistance. Still trying to figure out reading change diet, change mind, explain insulin resistance in brain.
What's the book?
Oh, is that
Diet,
Georgia Eads' book?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, Georgia Reed is fantastic. And it might be a terminology thing here that we're going to have a problem with, because I don't really think it's insulin resistance. And many people don't if they understand the Randall cycle. So it's a sort of misnomer. But I love what she does. So it's talking about the same thing in a different way. So the cell, whether it's, anywhere in the body really, requires insulin in some cases to uptake energy, but not every cell needs that. Not every receptor needs insulin. So this is why it's a little bit of a misnomer, because there are 14 glucose transporters, of which only one requires insulin. So that's the first thing to nail down. There are 13 glucose transporters that do not require insulin. So if you're not getting energy into the brain, there could be many reasons, but insulin resistance comes up, and they're saying that the neurons and the glial cells, they have basically impaired glucose uptake. Now, if you've got peripheral insulin resistance, so outside of the brain, let's say, what is that telling us? Well, it tells us that the cell is replete with energy already, and it locks out any glucose entry, or in fact, any substrate entry, even fat. Well, that's deemed as insulin resistance, whereas I think it's a cell protection mechanism. And it's normally from the overabundance of carbohydrate. That is the thing that tends to kick it out, because that's what people tend to eat, a lot of carbohydrates. So we know that when people go low carb or ketogenic, their brain fog improves, their cognitive ability improves, they have more energy, or they're less tired, or whatever. So
it's not insulin resistance, it's the body's just acting the way it's meant to. It's just like, well, I've got enough energy here, I don't need to let any more in.
Yeah, so no, it's an oversupply substrate. Yeah, absolutely. The body is doing what it should do, and that's locking out the glucose. So I would look at insulin resistance in the brain more broadly and just look at the term insulin resistance. So we can look at a pharmaceutical solution to insulin resistance, which is metformin. So metformin works on the signaling, and it takes the GLUT4 out of the cell's cytosol and puts it on the membrane. This is a posh way of saying it is a medication that forces the cell to not protect itself, and it overcomes insulin resistance by changing the signaling in the cell to open up to more glucose. Well, that's terrible. That's a really bad.
That's crazy. Like, I didn't actually know what it did, but that's like saying, you stupid body, I know better than you.
Yes.
And like, that's just got disaster written all over it.
Yeah, but then we go back to the number, you see. So there's more glucose in the cell bursting out the cell and causing problems, but there's less in the blood. So when you do a blood test, it's like, oh, your blood glucose has gone down. Metformin's working. No, it's not working, because you're not looking at it holistically. What you're actually doing is you're allowing yourself to overeat the carbohydrates, which you've got intolerance to. That's what you're doing.
It's terrible, but that sells
terrible.
more drugs in the future, or gets more operations done in future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an unknown mechanism. People want to look it up. It's the AMPK signaling that it works on. And this is the thing, when people draw the cell and they put the GLUT4 transporter on the edge of the, on the membrane so the glucose can come in, that's not what the cell looks like. The GLUT4 is in a little vesicle within the cell, and the AMPK signaling will detect the substrate and works out, the energy levels. Don't get too much into it, but and it will translocate that to the membrane surface to allow more glucose in if it's needed. Now, this is where exercise helps. We talked about walking earlier. AMPK works out, knows, it has the signaling capacity to know if you're exercising, if your muscles are contracting, if there's a change in calcium, which is part of how muscles contract. And it will respond to that. So when you exercise, so even if you have someone that's diabetic, and I know this from 10 years as a specialist practitioner, and they're not going to listen to you on diet and they exercise, it improves the body's management of glucose, because when you start exercising, those GLUT4 translocates to the membrane and it takes up some glucose, which is needed because you've suddenly increased your activity over your sedentary rate. So it all makes sense. I'm glad to get some feedback from you, Dave, which is good. That was a little joke there, because before we started, by the way, I was saying, I need a little bit of feedback to make sure I'm not boring everybody. But so the brain is no different. You have cells and you need the uptake, like I say, in the neurons and the glia cells. Glia is Latin for glue, and they used to think that the glia cells didn't do anything. They're just there to glue things together. We now know they're active, so that's great. So I would forget the term insulin resistance, and I would just look at is the body locking out the energy because there's too much carbohydrate coming in? Is the
as Bart K says, stop pouring the carbohydrates down your stupid neck.
Yeah, exactly. But because, which is not knocking Georgia, because she's fantastic and the book is excellent. I've had her on my program, but because everyone understands the term insulin resistance, or has some sort of handle on it, it continually gets used, but it isn't really insulin resistance. It's cell protection, and I want to try and find a way of getting that across to people and make it. But cellular protection from the oversupply of substrate is not very catchy. Insulin resistance is a very catchy way of talking about something.
I think the thing is that insulin resistance is a little bit like calories. People just get so used to saying it that they just say it, like even when they don't believe in the thing,
Yeah, and it is a thing. I mean, again, I've written this in my Substack because it is a really important and simple thing to understand. If we think about what's actually going on, and it's overeating basically, and it tends to be overeating carbohydrates, which we can't metabolize, and the body doesn't want to metabolize.
It's just I didn't know that about metformin, and it just makes everything so much worse now that I know what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, well, it's okay. We'll give you something to give you more permission to douse your body in more sugar. No problem.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why in the mainstream medical profession, they say, that type 2 diabetes is chronic and progressive because the medications are literally driving that, aren't they?
Yeah.
So,
So it's like in another industry, if you buy some product and buying the product forces you into a position where you have to buy the next product from the same company and the next product and the next product. It's just like self-upselling.
yeah, well, I don't want to paraphrase your good friend Liz, from Black Box Warning, but I'm going to because I thought it was very interesting. She was talking about working in the pharmaceutical industry and that if they had now I'm going to ruin what she said, but this was my understanding. If they're looking at two different drugs to treat the same thing, the more money is going to be spent on the drug that's got satellite drugs. So you take this drug and it will cure the thing, but it might give you a side effect of nausea or constipation or one other thing. Whereas the other drug can cure the thing or mediate the symptoms, I should say, is probably better. But it doesn't have satellite drug potential. So they'll go with the one with the satellite.
It'll be
drug potential.
deprioritized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's business, isn't it? And I will defend them, right? Believe it or not, because that's law. They have a duty of care to shareholders.
Right.
To make the most profit. So you could, I'm not saying that's moral, by the way, but that's the law.
Yeah.
And that makes sense too. Because
it makes sense when you put it in any business terms, right? Because any other business in any other industry, you'd go, oh yeah, of course, it's just business. But it just, because there's the ethical component to this one, it just seems so bad, right? So Inf Plus, total thyroidectomy 10 years ago on thyroxine, Carnivore for 35 days. What do you recommend I get tested in next blood test? It is in 3 months. Any supplements I could take in the meantime?
Okay, yeah. Just so people know, if you've had a thyroidectomy, you're totally dependent on thyroxine because you're not making any thyroid hormone, sadly. So yes. What do you reckon? What do I recommend you get tested? And any supplements? Right. This is an interesting one because if you supplement in the meantime, then you're going to get a test that reflects your supplements, if you see what I mean. If you could go with the minimum supplements possible, that would be, well, obviously thyroxine, because we know that you're dependent on that. There's no T3 going to be coming out. So I would get a free T3, free T4, reverse T3, TSH, and TPO and TG antibodies. They would be the thyroid panel. I would also try and get ferritin, B12, folate, selenium, and zinc. There are more things, but that would be quite a broad thing to get tested. Now, with testing, it is not what's in the cells, it's what's in the blood, but it gives you some idea of what's going on. So that would be the things to do. Supplements to consider would be, as I just sort of alluded to, selenium if you're not getting enough from your diet, zinc if you're not getting enough from your diet, iron if you're not getting enough from your diet. With thyroid, I actually think vitamin D3 is very important. And as I mentioned, B12 and folate would be quite good, or methylfolate. And magnesium are good supplements for thyroid. But I wouldn't do all those things. I would do the absolute minimum first, see what you're like from your bloods, how you feel, and then I would try one or two things in the order that I just said them. Because selenium is absolutely essential because it's one of the it's essential in the TPTGO thing. So that, or zinc for entry into the cell. So yeah, I would do it in that order.
If you're doing strict carnivore and you're eating a lot of beef, that's going to give you your iron and stuff, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
could you use something like sardines as a supplement, because like they've got selenium and vitamin D and things like that in there, right?
Sardines, that's really weird timing, because I did a consult before I came on, and the guy's having 4 sardines in the morning, and it's a game changer.
Really?
Yeah, he's absolutely.
I've got to try and do it one of these days.
EPA and DHA, I think, and the omega-3s basically. So he is somebody that came to me because he couldn't put on weight and was really bad at getting to a healthy weight. I know that's unusual for a lot of people, but that's one of the things that I do encounter, people that want to put on the weight, a healthy weight. Wasn't sleeping very well, very low energy. And we actually hit on something he could do. So again, when people ask what supplements, well, you're right, Dave. Most of the things you can get from food. So we hit on actually doing sardines, and he decided to do 4 sardines for breakfast every morning, and it's been a game changer for him. Now, this could also be placebo. We mentioned placebo as a joke earlier, but I think, if you're doing something you think this could work, that does help. If you think something's going to do a good thing for you, that is likely to be very helpful, isn't it?
Yeah. So I wanted to. There's a couple of things I wanted to show just before we finish up.
Okay.
For Gazazo, Stefane, I'm 10 years sober. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well done. And the other thing I wanted to show was a comment from Aid. Note, the last pharmacological drug discovery which actually fixed a problem was penicillin. Since then, it's been about managing symptoms. Good point. Very good point.
Yeah, very good point. Very well made.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thanks for your chats and questions. And we will be back with you same time, same bat channel next week. I just got one thing I need to tell you about that, actually. My last job, one of the guys I worked with, his name was Wayne Bruce. And, I used to say to him, it's my nemesis, Man Bat.
Yes.
And no one ever got my jokes. I was wasted at that company. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone, and have a lovely weekend. Thanks, Coach Stephen.
Thank you. Thanks for all the lovely questions.
Cheers, guys. See you.